Thanks for staying with us on Political Standpoint. Now, while the APC is still caught in the web of choosing a flag bearer, for the People's Democratic Party, that is a done deal. PDP's candidate Abubakar Atiku is now on the hunt for a running mate. Which region will he choose from? Who will Atiku pick? Now, so many names have been thrown up, but who will make the cut? Now, with me in the studio is a PDP chieftain and convener, Reset Lagos PDP, Adetokunbo Pearse. Good to have you join us.
Good to be here.
And also in the studio is also joining us via Zoom from Abuja is a political analyst, Anabs Sara-Igbe. Good to have you join us.
Good day. Thank you.
All right. Let me ask you, because this seems to be a very critical decision for the PDP in terms of who becomes the running mate of Atiku. So many names are being thrown out there. How important is this that the PDP gets this right? And I'm asking you, Mr. Sara-Igbe.
Well, thank you very much. The PDP have successfully done they have done their primaries, and they have left their strongholds, which is the south, to the north, to pick a candidate. Despite the outcry of the south that power must move to the south, they decided to pick somebody from the north. The East have also said they would not be happy with any of their sons picking a vice presidential ticket because they believe that it is their turn to produce the president. The South-South, on their part, which has been the traditional base of the PDP for the past 24 years, is also not too happy that the position of the presidency moved to the north, bearing in mind that the incumbent president, General Muhammad Buhari, is from the north. So it becomes a difficult situation for the PDP to now look at which of the running mate that can give them that support base. Because as things we are now, the PDP seems to lose grip of the South. So what I advise is for them to pick a candidate. They must look at the candidate and his background, to what extent he can be able to influence vote for the PDP. It's a very serious matter for the PDP to consider. Because as it stands now, they may not get that 12 million vote they normally get from the South. So the Atiku should look at people that can help him to get at least some of the votes. That's my advice.
And I will come to you, Adetokunbo Pearse, in just a moment, but I want to stay on what Mr. Sara-Igbe said. You sound like this is more, maybe I should put the question this way. Which is more critical for PDP at this moment? Is it the balance of power? And people think that if it's a balance of power, that should go to the Southeast. Or is it the candidate that can galvanize more votes for Atiku in the South? Which is more critical? Mr. Anabs, Sara-Igbe, that question is for you.
I think what I take now for the PDP is for them to think of who will be able to gather some of these votes. Because from the way things are going, if APC able to pick a southern candidate, it will be very difficult for the PDP to pick somebody to get vote in the south. So they need a credible candidate from the south. It may come from the southeast, it may come from the south-south, it may come from the southwest, who will be able to give them vote.
All right, so let me
go. Who also have the charisma, and the people will have faith in them that they can do much for them.
All right, so let me bring the conversation to Mr. Adetokunbo Pearse, who is a chieftain of the PDP. Where is your party? Because we understand that there are a lot of names being put out there, and I will mention some of those names in just a moment. But there are a lot of names being put out there, like a lot of considerations or a lot of criteria for picking some of these names. Where is your party in picking a running mate, and what are the criteria that is being used to pick a running mate for Atiku?
First and foremost, I'd like to say that the most important thing right now is for the candidate to show himself to the people to look at where he stands with the people of Nigeria, and that is most important than anything else in terms of balancing act and so on. Atiku has been very, very popular in the South, probably more popular in the South than in the North. Atiku, throughout his political life, has shown that he has so much support all over the country. So whoever he picks in the South has very little to do with the Southeast wanting a president. Right now, as we speak, most voters from the Southeast are members of PDP. They will remain members of PDP to the end, because of the caliber of candidate that we've been able to bring forward for Nigerians. This has nothing to do with zoning. Democracy is the principle of equal opportunity for all. So what the PDP did was to open the election of the primaries to everybody, anybody who wanted to contest. And there were people, there were candidates, aspirants from the Southeast, from the South-South, and they went in and they lost the primaries, and the person who won is now the candidate of the party. And all he has to do is to look carefully at where the votes of the party, first and foremost, where there's a stronghold of PDP. The South-South, I think a governor like Governor Ekoa, I think to me is the most prominent candidate now for vice president. But because he can bridge the gap between the Southeast and the South-South, I think he comes from an Igbo-speaking constituency. And therefore, all of these people are they're already registered PDP members. So all he has to do in terms of picking a vice president, and by the way, the party has a say in it, but the presidential candidate himself has the most say. So he knows what he needs to balance. And what he needs to balance, this issue of Southeast, somebody says they shouldn't accept vice president. Believe me, if they offer you vice president and you're the Southeast, you will accept it.
But do you think
because the people are still members of the PDP.
But do you think that your party has to appease the Southeast for failing to microzone the presidency to that region, that perhaps the vice presidency should go there just to appease that region, and again to be able to split the votes between your party and someone like Peter Obi?
Look, it's a pity that Peter Obi decided to go to another party. But I bet you the Southeast registered members of the PDP are not going with Peter Obi anywhere, because it's a losing proposition. There's no future there. The Labour Party has no structure across the country. Popular as you may be, why didn't he go and contest in the election? What are you talking about? Micro-zoning. This is the most undemocratic thing that I've heard in our politics. It doesn't make sense. How can you say nobody else should vote, not even in the South, but it has to be Southeast or Southwest? No, 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 no. It's never done. It's never done. The only time we had the case of zoning was the time of Obasanjo, and it was because of the exigency, the critical, the tragic event of Abiola. That's what created that special occasion. It doesn't happen in the PDP, and it doesn't happen. The people of the Southeast are strong members of the PDP. They will remain strong members of the PDP because they know that for once now, in this situation where we are, we have a candidate who has the capacity to save Nigeria from the critical issues that we are facing now. We are on the edge of collapse into the abyss. And now you're talking about somebody has to come from your village before you vote for him. Think about the caliber of candidates we have. And I guarantee you, the people of the Southeast are solidly members of the PDP, and they will remain so, and they will vote for their candidate come this election. By the way, it's not only about PDP now when you go into a general election. You're also talking about the majority of Nigerians. Nigerians are not looking at whether you are from the Southeast or South or North or West. The important thing is the caliber of the candidate that we have brought.
But I think that's also part of the conversation. And I want to take this to Mr. Sara-Igbe in our Abuja studio. Do you think that perhaps, because I'm continuing from where I stopped with Dr. Adetokunbo Pearse, that the PDP perhaps should be looking at the Southeast as a way to appease that region and split the vote, as some analysts have been talking about, that it has to be, if there is no split vote, then Peter Obi has the Southeast originally.
Well, if you look at the political history of the PDP at the Southeast or the PDP at the South, if you recall, in the 2019 election, the Adetokunbo, PADDEF, Afadafere, and the Northern elders came out in full support of Atiku. They supported Atiku's candidature, and they are sure that he has a lot of votes from these zones. These same people are not happy today because they felt that Atiku should be able to support them this time for them to get the presidency. And let us not forget that the insurgency or the unknown gunmen we have in the Southeast are not politicians, but they are the core people who want to ensure that the Igbos have a fair treatment. So for now, as it stands, if I want to advise Atiku, I will ask him to wait for the PDP to pick for the APC to pick the candidate. It is when the APC pick the candidate, then he can do his political mathematics and to know where he will pick his vice. If he did not wait for the APC, and if APC gets it right, and he picks before them, it might boomerang. Don't forget, the APC still have 14 states of the North, while the PDP have only 5 in the North. The APC have 8 in the South, and the PDP have 8 in the South. So it's going to be a very strong fight between the APC and the PDP. And as it is now, the fight starts from the South. Where will they get the vote? Where is PDP expecting their vote? And where will APC expect their vote? And for the Southeast, nobody should undermine the factor of Obi. Obi factor will go a long way, particularly in the Anambra politics. And the Igbos see Obi as the new Messiah. So we need to be careful to study the political terrain before taking a decision. But I know that these decisions will be taken between now and on the 9th. Because the 9th is the last day of submission. So, as it stands, the strongest hold of PDP is the South-South. And they have some strongholds in the Southeast and in the North. So he will need to balance up this equation where he will get a candidate. And the candidate must be a strong candidate. A candidate who have influence across his own region. Otherwise, it will be difficult.
I want to get your reaction to what he just said, because I saw your body movement, and then you were making some sounds as he was speaking. What's really? Your reaction to what he just said?
Well, Pandef, Afenifere, Northern Elders Forum, and Indigbo, all of them indeed endorsed Atiku in 2019. But guess what? They have already endorsed him again in 2023. You know why? It is not about Atiku now, it's about restructuring. All these groups, all these sociocultural groups have said what they want for Nigeria that can save Nigeria from collapse, from the terrible situation that APC administration has put us in over the last 8 years, is to have a restructured Nigeria. And Atiku Abubakar is going to campaign on restructuring Nigeria because that is what he stands for.
Do you think that
people are going to vote for.
Just a minute. Do you think that the issues will matter more than the region? So if the APC decides to field a southern candidate, do you think that all of these sociocultural groups will still line up behind Atiku because he wants to restructure, or they will rather go with a southern candidate because they think that power should come to the south?
Look, if it was so clear that power should come to the south is what they believe in, Atiku would not have won these primaries. The governors in the PDP all met, and the governors in the APC, that power must come, the next presidential candidate must come from the south. But when they got to election, they realized that what is most important is the person who has the capacity to move this country forward, who has the policy and the principles and the ideas that can help us in this country. So it is far more. And let me tell you something. I know a lot of Igbo groups. I worked with them in 2015, worked with them in 2019. I'm working with them now. They are not disciples of Peter Obi. They are disciples of restructuring Nigeria so that the Southeast will have equal representation in the National Assembly as the Northwest. That is what it's all about. It's about the issues. And it has never been about the South and the North. It's not that simple. It's about the caliber of person. Let me tell you, if a Northerner like Atiku came, you know why Wike lost that primaries? It was simply because the southern delegates, the northern delegates, all of them looked at the caliber of competition. If you are running against Atiku, are you more equipped than him in terms of experience and performance and acceptability and structure that you have across the country and popularity? Do you have that or you don't? So whether you are from the south or from the north, that is not the issue. We are not going into an election. Our people are not robots. They're not going to say because
you don't think that the balance of delegates also played a role there? Because I mean, a lot of people were really surprised that Wike was able to garner the number of delegates that he did. He was a shock in this race for a lot of people.
Because a number of people believed that it should come to the south, but not enough. That's the point I'm making, and it's all about the numbers at the end. There's going to be enough numbers for Atiku from the north and from the south. What the gentleman is saying is very limited, because when it comes to it, all those northerners that he's talking about now we'll see what happens. But Atiku has no choice anyway. He's going to wait for the primaries of the APC, which is tomorrow. So it is after that he will decide on who the running mate will be. No doubt about that.
So I want to get to the names shortly, but let me just get Mr. Sara-Igbe's reaction to what you just said, because you mentioned that, and I'm speaking to you, Mr. Sara-Igbe. Dr. Pearse mentioned that he has some socio-cultural Igbo groups are still with the PDP, and for them it is more about the issues around restructuring and getting Nigeria out of the current situation, and not necessarily about zoning. Do you think that if the PDP continues to think this way, that they are in for a surprise?
Well, let me tell you. The Pan Niger Delta Forum, the Owadeze Ndigbo, and the Afenafere believes in restructuring. And that is what we have been fighting for all this period. Because we believe that restructuring Nigeria will do Nigeria better than the way we are going. But that notwithstanding, that was why they trusted Atiku. And Atiku that they trusted will promise to restructure. We expected him to show concern when they said zone it to us and emphasize more on the restructuring. We have also had the APC who promised restructuring, and they set up a committee on restructuring. And the result we got was negative. So whoever that becomes president, whether it's a southerner or it's a northerner, the issue of restructuring must continue to ring bell for better Nigeria, for Nigeria to be more productive, for our governors not to be capped and begging at the center. We need to restructure this country. There is no doubt about that. But the major problem we have in this country, we have the country sitting on a keg of gunpowder. We have the Northwest not peaceful. We have the Northeast not peaceful. We have the North Central not peaceful. We have the Southeast not peaceful. And the Southwest is so agitating. The only region today that is at peace is the South-South. And that is the economic bed of Nigeria. The day that region will boil, it will trigger so many things in the country. So what we need now is stability of the country. What we need is somebody who has the capacity to resolve most of these issues. I don't have the feeling, I don't have any doubt that Atiku can do that. But the issue is trust. If the APC brings a credible South-South person, the PDP will still get their vote in the South, but not as much as they used to have. Then the factor of Buhari in APC in the North, the Buhari factor in the North is still very strong. So it will be difficult for the PDP now to wrestle the 14th state in the North. They might get some because Buhari is not contesting. But I know Buhari presidents will be able to do a lot for the APC in the North. So if Buhari now picks somebody from the South, or APC picks somebody from the South, it will strengthen the APC more than the PDP. So BDP needs a strong vice and reassurance to the South that they will still maintain their promise. Otherwise, they have lost faith. Even though they are PDP, look at the happenings in the East. The strong members of PDP are leaving the party out of anger. So that goes to tell you how the people feel. They also look at the East, where they threatened that nobody should take vice. And who are the people threatening? Are these militants, are these boys? And when they say don't go out on Monday, nobody goes out. When they say no election, people don't are scared. They see the killings with INEC. They can be so hostile. So you need somebody that they can trust for you to say this is my vice.
So let's put some of the names out there, Mr. Sara, but I'm bringing this conversation to Dr. Pearse, because he led us to that. He said somebody who people in the Southeast can trust. I mean, not just people in the Southeast, people in the South, and just general, because there are a lot of agitations in the country at this moment. And let me just put some of these names out, and then you also respond to what he has said. The names we're getting in terms of just general speculations, and we understand that there is a list that has been presented to Atiku. We're hearing Governor Udom Emmanuel. We're hearing Governor Wike himself. We're hearing Governor Kowa of Delta State. There is Governor Obaseki of Edo State. Ayim Pearse, former Senate President. There is a former Imo State Governor and Deputy Speaker, former Deputy Speaker, Mika Hedioha. Those are the names and fillers we're getting. We also hear that in the last minute that Soludo might also be, Governor Soludo might also be on that list. Speak to us about all of this list and what you know. Look,
first, one of the things my colleague by Zoom said, that President Buhari's influence in the North may sway things in favor of whoever gets the ticket. I think the total opposite. Buhari has never been popular in the North since the first 2 years of his administration. There was a time just before the 2019 election where people in Katsina were leaving APC and coming to PDP in droves. I'm going to tell you something else too, that the Northern elders, most leaders of thought, including the youths in the North, are giving up on Buhari, and they are not with him.
And what are you basing that on? Because it almost seems as if your party is banking on the fact that perhaps Buhari's popularity in the North has waned, and so you can catch in on that.
It's not a question of perhaps. We're looking at the country, the way the country is. The country needs a change from anything to do with Buhari and the APC, and that's what we're banking on. Also, we're banking on the fact that we are giving the country a candidate of the caliber who, when he was in government, was able to turn the economy around, was able to maintain peace during those Sharia years. This is the man we're talking about, who has business experience, who can revive the economy, who can revive our security, and who is not a tribalist. You talk about trust. It is not a question of trusting people because they're from your tribe. We're talking about individual. Who are you? What is your record? How much you pay? When we say Atiku is popular across the country, it's because he's trusted. You understand me?
Can you then speak to the record? Because again, he needs that balance. People, whether you like it or not, there is a general sentiment that the PDP did shoot itself in the leg by picking a northern candidate, and that because again your party, your national chairman is also from the North, and that it looks like you have positioned yourself towards the North. So there are names now that have been touted as potential vice presidential candidates to running mates to Atiku. Speak to some of these candidates and who you think.
Look. Let me address some misconceptions. We did not pick a candidate from the North. We left the field open for everybody.
He was elected
a candidate from the North won the election.
Absolutely.
By the way, our national chairman, by our constitution and the agreement that is on ground, will retire, will move away from the chairmanship as soon as things settle down. As soon as we've decided that we have a northern president, he will no longer be the national chairman from the North. The national chairman will revert to the South.
All right.
So we have that.
The reason you have,
yes.
I just wanted to speak to this list, but the reason you have a candidate from the North is because you truly, the ticket open.
Yes.
And people expect that you will zone it to the South, but that's not even the issue. I really want you to speak. We have little time left. Speak to some of these names and what you know.
All of them, to me, are very viable, including Soludo, by the way. Now, definitely, I think that the presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, will consider the South East and South South because that's our strength in the party. You get my point? So naturally, he will go there, not because to appease some people who are saying it has to be zoned. No, no, no. It is because by what's on ground, the Southeast is a solid PDP. South-South, solid PDP. By the way, the reason why you have so much peace in the South-South is because most of them, 5 out of the 6 governors are PDP. And by the way, when people say they leave the party, individuals leave the party, you will see what will happen to Peter Obi. As good as he is, as qualified as he is, he goes to Labour, people are not going to follow him to Labour. So it doesn't matter what the leaders do. The leaders are the one talking, making all the noise. The people are looking for a change in Nigeria, something to save us from the chaos we are in now. That's what the people are looking for. And they're the ones that are going to vote, not just the leaders.
Mr. Igbe.
I don't want to predict anybody.
We see that he's already, and I'm speaking about Peter Obi, he's already galvanizing some level of support, even amongst young people. So I think that this race is still very much open. But let's go to Mr. Sara-Igbe. I want you to speak to the names. Again, I will just mention them. We have Udom Emmanuel, Governor Wike, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, Governor Gordon Obaseki. There is the former Senate President, Pearse, a former Governor of Imo State, Emeka Ihedioha, and then we're also getting feelers about Governor Soludo. That's for you, Mr. Sara-Igbe. Just speak to some of these names on the list.
Well, all the names you mentioned are credible names. There are people that have a lot of respect from the region. But first of all, Atiku need to consult with them. You need to ask them, are they willing to take that position? Because between me and you, I can tell you there is a lot of anger and resentment within the South. That are we saying that there are no credible leaders in the South who can be president? Is it only Atiku that is the best in Nigeria today that can be president, and they don't have anybody in the South, in the Southeast, in the South-South, and in the Southwest? These are the issues that we are talking about. So it is left for these people, because some of them are not happy. We had the comment of Wike, how he was disappointed of being betrayed. But the issue of how Atiku even won is not about the betrayal, but it's about the new Electoral Act, which made each state to present an elected delegate. It was not based on the strength of the party, or if there are statutory delegates, and that goes to the strength of the party, we will be able to know if actually this speaks the minds of the people. Nigeria still plays selfish and parochial politics. Whether we like it or not, everybody wants his presence. So, in this circumstance, Atiku has been a friend of the South, and they have stood behind him over the years. But he has not reciprocated. So, the leadership of the party, of his party, will decide among those beautiful names who is capable of stabilizing or whom they can trust, because they are not sure of what the APC will bring. What happens if APC brings a northern candidate? Of course, that will give a big edge to Atiku, because whatever is the anger, they will now look at it both sides, and that is where credibility comes to play. But where the South, where APC picks a Southern candidate that is strong and is acceptable to the South, it becomes very difficult for the PDP. So the game is open. Atiku should consult and also extract those who can work with him. It's not just picking a vice. You must have a vice that will be loyal to the president. You don't pick a vice who will kill the president to become president. So these are the issues that is open to Atiku to look at. So let the APC also look at this and also put the house in order.
All right.
What we need in Nigeria is stability.
Let me just get the
peace in Nigeria.
Absolutely. Peace in Nigeria is very paramount at this moment. But let me get the final take of Dr. Pearse. Your party is now shopping for a vice presidential candidate to Atiku, while the APC is preparing for its presidential primaries. You just heard the analysis that Mr. Sara-Igbe gave. Depending on the kind of candidate that the APC gives, that would mean a lot for your chances. What's your final take on the chances of your party in the 2023 election?
Oh, by the way, maybe Governor Kowa, maybe, but anyone could be, but I think Governor Kowa. Look, our chances are as great as Nigerians want a change. No matter who they pick in APC, Nigerians are going to say, we had 8 years of APC, look at what you have done to Nigeria. You've destroyed the economy, you have destroyed security, all your appointments have been ethnocentric, everything coming from one tribe in the north. No more of that. There must be a change. Nigerians are going to vote for Atiku because Atiku will restructure Nigeria and because he will change the situation that we are in now and make Nigeria more stable, more economically progressive, and a better country.
All right, we're monitoring the decision of your party. We're also monitoring the APC primaries. We'll see how, once everything is settled, I think Nigerians, of course, the permutations will start as to how the PDP or the APC will do in the elections. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for talking to us. We had in our Abuja studio political analyst, Mr. Anabs Sara-Igbe. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
And also here with us in our Lagos studio, we had the PDP chieftain and convener, Reset Lagos PDP, Adetokunbo Pearse. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that's it on Political Standpoint today. We will have a repeat of this program later in the day. I think that's about 11:30 p.m. And then earlier again on Sunday morning, you can watch out for that. We'll continue to monitor the political situation across the country and bring you analysis here on the show. I am Precious Amayo. Thanks for watching. Coming up next is the news.